We have a brand new game.
I was trying to contain myself. Oh my.
Go option one, not safe. These are insane.
And Brandon keep killing it.
What's good, Creative Fam? Brandon Washington here, and welcome back to another episode of Uncensored. Yo, first off, thank you so much for being here this week. We are super excited to have you here. Honestly, I feel like I say this every week, and I'm never going to stop saying it because literally you being here is what makes this show what it is. We do this show live every single week, every Friday at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, and we do it for you. And I say we because I've got my amazing co-host rocking with me again today, Mr. Jarrell Peak. What's it do, bro?
What's up, Creative Fam? But Brandon, this episode's a little different, right?
This episode is a little different.
This man out here like, we live.
No, I say we do this show live.
Live.
We do this show live every single week. But this week is a little different. This week we are technically not live, even though you are watching this at the same time, because we always try to make sure that we get an episode out no matter what, because we never want you guys to be left without an episode, because we know how much fun this is.
Absolutely.
And it's a part of our schedule. But unfortunately, this week we couldn't be here live because we got some other stuff going on that you're definitely going to hear about probably early next week. But we're really, really pumped about still being able to bring you guys an awesome show and be able to hang out with you guys. Now, we're still going to be here, so definitely be sounding off in the comments section because we are still here. We're just not actually here.
Yeah.
Does that track?
100%.
Yeah. I hope it tracks. I hope it makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll be in the comment section, so we'll still be able to answer you guys' questions, chat with you guys. And honestly, there's been a few times, especially when my son was traveling for baseball, where I spent more time in the comment section, obviously, than on the actual stream.
Yeah.
And being in the comment section live is really where it's at.
Y'all be saying some wild stuff.
Y'all do be saying some wild stuff.
We read all the comments, and we can't say them out loud, but we read them, and we think they're funny.
Yeah, no, y'all be, it's like a whole different ecosystem. It's like we have what's going on the show happening, and then it's some episodes, we go in the comment section, and it's like, were they even watching the same show? They go down all these crazy
There's so many layers, too. We have the live crowd.
Yes.
We hear you. Your comments are great. Then we got the clips.
Oh, my gosh. The comment
and
section.
The shorts. You guys are wild.
It's so funny how it's so different, right? It's we can be having a conversation live, right? And then there's a totally different conversation going on live in the chat, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then when the clips come out, there's a totally different conversation happening in those comment sections.
Yeah.
And then the shorts are just, that's the Wild West.
Shorts, yeah. Who knows what you're going to say? Who knows what people are going to say?
I don't even know if half the people who comment on shorts have ever actually watched the full episode.
Well, I'll tell you something on shorts. We clip our shorts in hopes that you'll go back and watch the related clip,
right,
or the live stream. So sometimes we won't give our full answers in the shorts.
Yeah.
But people get so mad.
They do.
He didn't even say nothing.
It's like they took 15 seconds out of zero context and they hold it as gospel, and they get upset about it sometimes.
Yes. So subscribe to the Uncensored Brandon Washington channel and watch the full episodes.
Yes. And obviously, if you're not watching this episode live, we'd love for you to join us live every Friday at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. That way, when you disagree with us, you can do it in real time. Well, awesome. Well, today we've got an amazing show planned out for you guys. The purpose of today's episode is to talk about the thing that we all love talking about, and that's gear. I mean, there has been so much gear that has come out over my, I'm going to date myself here, 10 plus year journey in the world of filmmaking. And so much has changed. I remember, Jarrell, when the original Ronin M came out, because this was at a time where Freefly had came out and their gimbals were really popular, but expensive. And then DJI started trying to come out with gimbals as well, but the Ronin M was like the first semi-affordable. I think it was like maybe in like it was definitely less than $2,000, but it was like semi-affordable type of a gimbal. And I remember that moment. And I was like, oh, this is a new line of technology that's going to change how I, as a videographer, do my task. You know what I mean? And so I thought that it'd be fun to start things off by just talking about a few of our personal, most impactful pieces of gear. Whether we bought it, we rented it. And chat, we want you to get involved too. What is the most impactful piece of gear along your entire journey? And I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball in here.
Okay.
Don't pick a camera.
This man.
Don't pick a camera. All right.
Don't.
What was
that
the most
hurts me.
impactful piece of gear? Because we're all videographers. It starts with a camera. That's too easy.
Man, Brandon, get out of here.
You just pick your first camera
Man,
and like
get
you
outta
win.
here.
So like, what is one
Man, get
piece of
outta
gear?
You can't take this from me, Brandon.
Okay, I'll let you go.
The Canon 1DX
Oh my
Mark II.
I knew it.
And that was like, we have arrived. I'll pick something else.
Okay.
But man, that like takes that cake. That 120 1080p slow-mo.
That is, I mean, obviously I was the owner of that camera too. I don't know what it was about buying that camera. Maybe it's because Peter McKinnon had it, but it
Big
was like
time.
when you bought that camera, you were like, oh, okay. Like I'm supposed to be here.
Big time. All right. Well, was I rethink my answer? Do you have an impactful?
Yes,
Most
I
impactful.
absolutely do. I think for me, the most impactful piece of gear that I had, at least when it comes to like my journey, definitely has to be the original DJI Mavic drone. Now, I had played around with the Phantom 3 and then the Phantom 4s, and like they were great drones, but they were always so difficult. Like the flight process, the setup process, like you had to like hold the drone and spin around in a circle and then flip it upwards and then spin around again. And like they were so much work to them. They were so heavy, clunky, and everything. And when the original Mavic came out, in its like compact folding size, it was like the first time where I was just like, okay, like this is a drone that I could carry with me every single day. And I did.
Yeah.
And this also happened to be around a time where I was shooting a ton of real estate. So I used it a lot. And so it became the thing that helped me separate myself. I got my drone license. I was licensed. I had my insurance. I had this amazing drone that I could use on a regular basis. And it really helped set my professional career off in a very unique way, something that made me different. It wasn't just a camera, right? But I can tell you the other thing that it did for me was this is actually the first piece of gear that I ever reviewed on my YouTube channel. And I made this review, didn't really know what I was doing at the time. I was just like, oh, you know, I kind of like camera reviews. I kind of like reviews. I want to talk about this drone. But everybody else who was talking about the drone at the time were talking about it from just like as a drone enthusiast. Like that was a thing for a while. It was like some people were just drone enthusiasts. They weren't even like filmmakers. They just wanted to fly a drone just for the sake of it. And I made a video that was like the DJI Maverick review for filmmakers. I made it, posted it, put it up on YouTube. Didn't probably really understand what I was doing at the time. And I remember it was around like holidays because I remember specifically we were at some family get together. It must have been like Thanksgiving dinner or something like that. And I just looked at my phone and I was like, 20,000 views.
Oh, wow.
20,000 people looked at this video. Now, before that, I had posted little stuff here and there from previous drones, but it was just like, you know, test flights and stuff. And they maybe got like 100 views here, 40 views here, nothing crazy. This first review that I put out did crazy numbers. And I was just like, oh my gosh, there are other people like me who enjoy this type of stuff. And dude, that changed everything for me. From there, it was like, okay, I want to do more of this YouTube stuff. Now, before then, I wanted to do it, but it was like, I don't know, this might not be real. I tried vlogging, I tried all these other things. I was like, this isn't really striking for me. But this was like the one time I was like, all right, I'm going to try something new for myself, and I'm just going to put it out there. And because I got a decent response, it literally is the reason why I'm still on YouTube to this day.
Dude, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. It's so funny because in a lot of ways, our stories are very similar. Like the first thing that came to mind was drones for me too. I was like, man, drones really kind of unlocked from a client sort of standpoint, capabilities that like anybody can walk around with a camera, but not everybody had a drone.
Yes.
And just doing drone shots were incredible. But I'm a pivot because the next biggest thing, and this is like super funny because like, it's like you got to go back into the day with us.
Yeah.
You can't like how much I use gimbals now versus how much, like how new it was back in the day. So crazy. And so I actually bought the original Ronin and, dude, a little bit of severance from being let go of a job. And so I had like, there's a few $1,000s to burn. But I remember like, oh my gosh, like I was using that on weddings and that was so cool. Well, anyways, I kept it for a little bit too long, and I was looking at the Ronin S,
Yeah.
like the original Ronin S, like that thing looks like a toy. You
Yeah.
know, I got
Double
the
handles.
I got the double.
Yes.
And so the probably most impactful piece of gear outside of a drone or a camera was probably the Ronin S for me because I was on a real estate shoot, and I had a buddy that showed up. And he had the Ronin S, and it was the first time I had seen it in person and seen anybody use it. And Brandon, you probably know this, trying to go through doorways
Yes.
with two handles and hitting and then having to redo the shot and hitting and having to redo the shot. And it's just like, and when I saw his footage coming off his C200 on a Ronin S, I was like, dude, this is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
this, like, your footage is still smooth.
Right.
And you're able to navigate these homes like so much easier, save so much time that I literally ordered one like that week.
Yeah, I think my journey with the gimbals was with the Ronin M was my first Ronin, and the problem I had was the dang like you had to carry around this like
The stand?
the stand, yeah, in order to put the Ronin on it when
Yeah.
you didn't want to shoot anymore. And when I saw pistol grip gimbals come out, I was like, oh
That
my
had tripod
gosh.
feet.
Yes. I think my first one might have been the Zhiyun Crane. And like, I remember this is another big YouTube moment for me.
Yeah.
Was I found this video on YouTube and this guy was not speaking English at all.
Yeah.
But like he was trying to show how to balance like the 1DX on it. But it was like you had to like basically like trick the system.
Oh, yeah.
And like you're basically probably voiding a warranty, right?
Yeah.
But you have to like take a piece apart in order to like drop the angle down a little bit, and then you could get the 1DX2 to mount on it. And I had to watch this guy's video over and over again because the camera quality wasn't that great and he
Yeah.
wasn't speaking English. So
Yeah.
it was like, what is he doing? Well, after I figured it out, I was like, I'm gonna make a YouTube video on this for the English speakers. And I made that YouTube video, and something interesting happened. One, Zhiyun reached out and they were like, hey, you shouldn't do that. But we got something for you. And they
That's cool.
created an entire L bracket attachment specifically for the 1DX users.
Oh, that's cool.
And then they sent it to me. And that was like the first time I was like, wait a minute, when you're on YouTube and you're talking about products,
Yeah.
like companies are paying attention.
Yeah.
And you can actually impact the next line of products
That's
that are
cool.
coming. But also, I found that there were a ton of other 1DX users who were just like me, who were dealing with the same problems. And they enjoyed that I had made this video to help them solve that problem. But then shortly after, DJI comes out with the Ronin S, and they didn't have that problem out of the
Yeah.
box. They
Yeah.
figured it out of the gate.
Yeah.
So I quickly switched over to DJI for that. I kind of went back over to DJI.
Yeah.
But yes, dude, those
That's
pistol
how-
grip gimbals were
They-
game changers.
They had some of like, I feel like, and obviously we're past the point of innovation now with the gimbals. Like pretty
Yeah.
much all the gimbals have all the features and do all the things.
Right.
But they were leveling up so quickly.
Yeah.
Year after year after year after year that now, man, that Ronin S, while it has a warm spot in my heart and it's just sitting somewhere on a shelf somewhere.
Your garage.
Gosh, like the new ones are just like, how did we not have locking arms?
Dude, I don't
And-
even remember wanting stuff like that. Like, I was just so blown away
Yeah.
that I didn't have to run the 2-handle system, that it was just like, I just wanted better support for heavier builds. And
Yeah.
like DJI, I will always say that, like, I feel like when it comes to motors,
Mm-hmm.
they have always been the best when it comes to motors.
Yeah.
Now, there have been other brands that have come out with some really cool features. Like, I know, I think Zhiyun was one of the first ones that gave you camera control, which I was like, oh, that's really cool. You can like start and stop recording directly from the gimbal, or you can actually like adjust things like your aperture or something like that directly from the gimbal itself. But like DJI is quick to adopt those things that we're looking for, but it's always the motor that it's like, it's super smooth, it works really well, and like, as a, you know, especially when I was, you know, when they were really the most impactful for me when I was just getting started, I needed something that just worked.
Yeah.
Because I had a whole bunch of other things other problems I was dealing with at the time. I was like, I don't want the gimbal to just not work. So,
Oh, yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I appreciate them. Like, it's cool to have an app, but to remember your password and all that sort of stuff, and having to connect to Bluetooth, and what if it doesn't connect? So I appreciate like that they had an app, but then they eventually moved to being able to calibrate it on the screen. So many different things. Obviously, we're old filmmakers, but
Well, with us being old filmmakers and honestly talking about the app issues, because Lord knows I have had my fair share of issues with apps. What are some, I'm going to just call them horror stories.
Yeah.
What are some like horror stories when it comes to your experience with gear? It doesn't have to be necessarily with the gimbals,
Yeah.
but like throughout your journey, have you ever been on a set or on a project? And Chad, I want you to definitely chime in here too, because I have learned so much from other people's problems. I think that's the thing I want more on YouTube, is people talking about their problems so I can learn from them.
Yeah.
But what have been some horror stories or gear that didn't perform like it was supposed to, or maybe it didn't perform like you thought it was going to? Where were some of the horror stories when it comes to gear for you that you find yourself struggling with throughout your journey?
dude, this has happened to, well, maybe not every single filmmaker, but if you do it long enough, it may happen to you. So please learn from this mistake. This isn't so much the gear's fault as much it was my fault. Just had a client reach out to me. So first time working with them, and they were like, hey, we'd love for you to come do this shoot. And so they had gathered up about 20 ladies.
Okay.
And we were going to shoot an ad for an upcoming women's conference. And I'm like, perfect. You know, I'm prepping for the shoot. I'm grabbing my batteries, grabbing my SD cards, just ready for the shoot. Head over to the outdoor location. And I literally go to turn my 5D Mark III on. And it didn't turn on. And I'm like, oh, I must have picked up a dead battery. I go in my bag. I pop the next battery in, turn the camera on, dead battery. And now I'm starting to think to myself, like my heart's racing, because I know that this is going to be like a half-day shoot.
Yeah.
And I only got 3 batteries. Like at the 5D Mark III, like you didn't really need more.
You didn't need a ton.
You needed a ton. We're not shooting like 4K.
Right. But 2 of your 3 batteries are dead.
Bro, tell me why, bro. That third battery was dead. Now, if you were to ask me on this day, I pulled them off the charger.
Yeah.
Like they were like in the charger on the wall. So like I'm thinking all these things are good. They're good. They're on the charger on the wall. I don't know if a circuit had tripped or something
Yeah.
and there wasn't power to that outlet. But literally 343 with a brand new client, not someone that you can like, oh, and by the way, I'm stalling. I'm just like, I'm making up some like, gosh, like what's going on with the camera? It's never done this before. Like not saying it's a battery, because if you say, I'm sorry, I picked up 3 dead batteries, they're going to be like,
That's on you.
sir. So I'm just like making up some random like I think I don't understand.
I'm laughing
what's
because I've
going-
been there.
I'm just making it up.
Dude.
And so literally half an hour, 20 ladies outside, mind you, in Texas. Hot.
It's just hot.
Just hot. And now they're starting to look around like, what's going on? And so literally the client says to me, and this is when I knew I lost the shot.
Yeah.
I just lost it. She was like, can you shoot it on your iPhone?
Oh, God.
And then I literally was like, yes, I can do that. But I knew in my heart,
You were done.
for a paying gig, she was done.
She was out.
She was like, after this experience. So straight up, what wasn't dead was my Phantom 3 Advanced drone.
No.
So we did a couple drone shots, just to impress. And then we shot everything on the iPhone. What? 9? I don't even know. And then straight up, this was the coolest thing in the world. She was like, I know stuff happens. And she's still a client today and we still work together.
No way.
Wild. So wild.
Dude.
So wild. But it was.
Did you do the next 3 projects for free?
No. But oh my gosh. So embarrassing. So awkward. Oh, and this is the worst part. I had like a third party battery.
Yeah.
And I was like, told my wife, like, hey, I need you to grab it. I need you to come bring it to me. But by the time then we had already. So it was just so much waiting around, so much awkwardness. So yeah, no, that is a charge your batteries.
Dude.
Charge your batteries.
You know what's crazy
Confirm.
about that? I have definitely been there. And one like advancement in cameras that I completely take for granted is the fact that now you could just plug a USB-C brick into them. Because
100%.
like the fact that like every time I go do a job, if I'm taking a mirrorless camera, I just bring like my MacBook charger with me. It's USB-C.
100%.
And it's like, if I get into a worst case scenario, I just plug that sucker in, run an extension cable, and I'm like, all right, yep, we're good. No, this was the plan the whole time.
Yeah.
We were going to run off of power. It's way more sustainable.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Right? Like, that's how I go into it.
Battery's totally unreliable.
Yeah. So that's hilarious, dude. So I've told, for me, my fears always come in post production. I'm always terrified about stuff happening post. Because if something happens on set, everybody's sort of aware of it, right? And you can sort of like make accommodations. But for me, the horror story, or the piece of gear horror story, we do go back in time a little bit to the 1DX Mark II days. And the 1DX Mark II used to get me a lot of jobs where like detail was important. And so I had this production where this girl was shooting it was like a mini documentary, and she lived in Oklahoma, and obviously we live here in Houston. And so surprisingly, halfway for us was Dallas. That's just how big Texas is, right?
Yeah.
And so we go to Dallas. And she is a fitness. This is like before like fitness models or Instagram fitness models were really a thing. But she was trying to do this with like this website. I think it was called bodybuilding.com or something. So she like was trying to audition for something. And so we decide we're going to go meet at this gym in Dallas. Now she gets everything. She pays for everything. And like it's not a company. You know what I mean? Like she's just a normal girl who has a dream, and she's like, I want to pursue that dream, and I need a video to do that, and I want to hire you for it. I was like, awesome, let's do this. So me and my wife pack up, we head into Dallas. And we go and we meet this girl for the first time. We've only had a few conversations over the phone, but she's really nice. We get there, we go to the gym, and I say, all right, we're going to do this in 2 parts. We're going to shoot you working out for all the B-roll, and then we'll shoot your interview so we can get all the A-roll. And so first I get in there, and you remember the 1DX Mark II. Files are massive.
In 4K, MOV.
Yes. Motion JPEG, oh my gosh. Yeah. Massive files. So I start shooting. I film her. We burn through a card. No big deal. Got another card. Cool. Swap it out. Film a little bit more of her working out. And I say, all right, cool. Why don't you go, hop in the shower. The gym gave us this back room where we could do the interview. We go. We shoot the entire interview. And she is like, she has a story that I didn't fully understand at the time. Just like about her background. And I don't want to get into all the details, but like dealing with trauma and abuse, and fitness helped her overcome this, and like there's like emotional moments and everything, and it's like I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. Well, me and my wife decide we're not staying in Dallas. We're going to leave. Her and her boyfriend who came out with her, they say, hey, you know what? We're making a weekend out of this thing. So we're going to chill in Dallas, whatever. And we're like, all right, we go have dinner with them. All things great. We drive back home. We get back to Houston, and I do what I always try to do. I get out. I try to charge up my batteries, right?
Now.
Try to charge up my batteries, drop off the memory, try trying to organize it and all that stuff. That night, I go in and I start dropping media. And I break the first card out that we shot all the fitness stuff. I look at it, everything drops over, no problem. Second card, put it in the card reader, nothing happens. And I go, that's really weird. Something must be off here. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Let me unplug everything, restart everything, plug it all back in.
A mini stroke is happening.
Take the first card again, put that in. And I'm like, okay, card reader's working. Take that card out. Take the second card, put it in. Nothing. And I'm like, okay. Let's go to Google. There's got to be a problem here. I'm doing something wrong.
Is it even recognizing? Is the card recognizing?
So I go to Google, and it walks me through this thing inside of the Mac called
Disk Utilities.
Disk Utilities. And what it tells you to do is to go into Disk Utilities, because even if the card is mounting or is being recognized,
yes,
but it's not mounting, that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
And so I, with all the fear in my heart, click on Disk Utility, and sure enough, the card shows up there, and it's grayed out. And I go, what do I do? What do I do?
Yeah.
I download every card recovery software that I can, and everything just tells me that the card is empty. So then I'm like, okay, let's take the card out, let's put it back in the camera, and let's play it back. Maybe I can plug a cable into the camera, pull it over, use Canon software. I put it into the camera, and it comes back and it says, this card is, I don't know exactly what it said, but I'll tell you what I read.
But you need to reformat or something.
I read, you're screwed. I'm going to format this card because that's the only way I can fix it. And, dude, when I talk about my heart sank.
Yeah.
It sank, bro.
Yeah.
Now, it's like 11 o'clock, midnight.
Put them on blast, Brandon. What was the brand of card?
So
put them on blast.
This is where it's kind of my fault. I don't remember what the brand name was because it wasn't a big name brand.
Gotcha.
It was like one of those hop on Amazon, get a CF Express Type B card.
Those CFast 2 cards, bro. Oh,
they were so expensive, bro.
So expensive.
So
I used Transcend. Transcend?
I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But I remember at midnight texting, hey, are you up by chance? No response. So I go to bed with this weight on my chest. And when I say I go to bed, I don't sleep. I'm just in the bed, tossing and turning, waiting for her to wake up the next morning and call me. She wakes up the next morning, she calls me, and I have to tell her, hey, so we had a card error. The card didn't capture. I'm so sorry. And like this project that she's supposed to submit, it needs to be submitted like in the next week. So it's like she can't go back to Oklahoma, and we go back to, and like we stay in Houston and we try to meet up the next weekend. So I like tell Melissa, and like she's like, I totally understand. If you got to go back to Dallas, go back to Dallas.
So you went back that day? So
that next morning, the girl was like, okay, what part did you lose? I was like, I lost a little bit of the workout, but I lost the interview. I drove back to Dallas, this time alone. My wife was like, I'm not going back.
Yeah.
And we film it again, this time just inside the Airbnb where she's at. But dude, talk about half lessons learned. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Half lessons learned. Because ever since then, I have been so weary of cheap memory. I will almost spend more on a memory card just because it's more expensive, because for some reason it gives me like that peace of mind. But dude, to have that card fail absolutely crushed me. I drove all the way back to Dallas. We re-interviewed her, but this time it just wasn't the same. And like, she submitted the project, you know, when I gave it to her, she was happy. You know, she paid and everything, and she was like totally fine with me driving back up there. She was appreciative that I was willing to drive back up there. But dude, when you talk about like the emotional impact of the video, the first time she told me that story, I was like, she's gonna win. The second time, I was just like, it's not quite the same, and I felt like I was trying to get that back out of her again, but like she just couldn't. She couldn't get there.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't her first time telling it. You know what I mean? Like, now she's trying to remember what she said. And so, like, dude, ever since then, I've always been terrified of that situation. And I can tell you this, for a long time also, now I've gotten a little, like, I feel better with most memory cards, and I found a couple sites that'll really help you get your memory back if you have a bad situation. But for a long time, I filmed everything on 2 memory cards if the camera had it, and I had a Ninja 5 connected. So I could record to the Ninja as well.
Just in case.
Just in case. Because, dude, that gutted me.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I've only ever had that situation happen one other time.
Yeah.
But that time it was on an actual physical hard drive. It wasn't on me.
Yeah.
So, but either way,
if you do it
sucks.
long enough, I've had memory cards fail. I have had batteries die. Like, if you do it long enough, it'll happen to you. So part of it is have redundancies planned, buy good memory cards, but just know if you do this long enough,
unfortunately, it's probably
it's going to happen to you. I can't tell you, like, it's happened to me a handful of times where the card won't mount, or you'll put the card in the camera and it'll be like, something's wrong with this card. You need to reformat. And I'm like, no, because if I hit reformat, everything's gone.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh, yeah, that is heart sink. Heart sink.
Yeah, that hurt me.
Yeah. All right. Well, that kind of leads us into our next one of buying regrets. What are things that you obviously
cheap memory cards?
You regret some cheap memory cards, but what are some of the top things that you regret purchasing?
You know, when I think about things that I regret purchasing, I just start looking around my office at stuff that's just like sitting there and collecting dust. One of the first ones is something that I thought I would use a lot, but never do. And that is a slider. And dude, I have bought so many sliders thinking that that was going to change the game for me. Like, the most recent one I bought was the Rhino slider. And I bought the whole kit too. Now, granted, the nice thing about Rhino, at least back in the day, I don't know if they still do this, but you could trade in old sliders and get a discount.
Yeah.
So I shipped in, like, I think like 2 or 3 sliders and just received like gift cards from them. They were like, submit, like, they were like, buy something and then submit a slide, and then send in a slider and we'll give you a gift card. And dude, I sent in 3 different sliders. I don't know if you're supposed to do it that way, but I did.
Yeah.
And so I sent in those sliders, and then bought the Rhino pack and the whole 9. And I was like, this is it, because it's going to slide on its own. Or if I'm making a YouTube video, I can have a little bit of motion to it.
Yeah.
Dude, setting that thing up sucks, bro. It just becomes so much work to set it up that I just get to the point where I'm like, is a static shot really that bad?
Yeah.
Like, does the camera need to move?
Yeah.
And then before I know it, dude, I don't even know if the thing turns on. I don't think I've turned that thing on in probably over a year. And like, it just never gets used. It never, ever gets used. So
is it a power or battery?
So it is rechargeable.
Okay.
But it's not like like you have to plug it in to recharge it. So like right now, if I wanted to use it, it definitely needs a charge.
It's like,
or
it's dead.
Probably the reason why I probably really haven't used it is because I'm afraid if I open it up right now, the cells on that battery are probably like completely just drained out. Like there's no bringing it back to life.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my goodness. It's so strange to me because I can tell you one of my biggest regrets when I first started was I bought a lens that, because I had a buddy that did a lot of astrophotography, and he was like, bro, you need 16 millimeters. You need 16. And I bought it. And of course, I loved it. I bought the 16 to 35. It was a beautiful astrophotography lens. But from a practicality standpoint, I needed a 35 1.4. The 2.8 wasn't going to cut it, shooting wedding films and stuff like that and just random things. And so what happened is the 16 to 35, the only thing I was using it for was for fun. Just like going out, taking some time lapses every once in a while.
Yeah.
And it was like, bro, like $1,500, like whatever it was, $1,400, just burning a hole in my camera bag. And so literally in my heart, I got rid of it because I regretted it. And here's oh my gosh, this was a dumb choice on my part, getting rid of it, because it wasn't but like 5 years later that I wanted to step into real estate and needed to get another copy of the 16 to 30. Oh my gosh, I was so mad.
You had to buy the same lens twice.
Buy it twice, bro.
Dude.
And so I have it again.
Yeah.
So, but it was a big regret. Turned out, and to be fair, you can't use 16. I mean, you could use 16 for like, sure, whatever. But like for what I was shooting at the time, people.
Yeah. Portraits.
Yeah.
16 millimeter.
Sure, you could go up to the 35.
Yeah.
But it's just like, if you have a 1.4, are you really going to use your 16 to 35 2.8?
Yeah.
No, you're not. You're going to use. So anyways, that was a huge regret. But now that I shoot real estate, I've turned that regret around.
You know what's funny? I actually remember when I bought my first L series Canon lens.
Mm-hmm.
I worked at Best Buy, and I specifically got a job at Best Buy because I wanted the discount. That was it. I was like, I would need to buy a camera, I want to buy lenses, and so I was like, I can get a job, they can pay me, I can learn about this stuff while I'm working there, but at the same time, I can get a discount to be able to buy what I want, right? And so after working there for a while, saved up some money, I was like, all right, it's time to get into this world. So I bought a few things, got a T2i, got the Nifty 50, had the 18 to 55 kit lens. I was like, I am on it.
Yeah.
And then I started doing a little bit of research, and I was like, oh man, look at these lenses with this red ring. All the professionals
Seriously
have this red ring. I need the red ring. Now, I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about lenses being the reason why you have certain apertures. I had no idea that
weather sealing. Yeah.
No, dude, I saw the red ring and I was like, that is pro.
Yeah.
I want to be a pro. You gotta dress for the job you want to have.
Yeah.
Right? Dude, I remember I was like, okay, what is the cheapest L series lens you can buy? And
Let me guess, an F4?
It wasn't a 4.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It was the 17 to 55, maybe.
Yeah.
F4 lens. Now, granted.
But it had that ring.
But it had that red ring. Dude, I remember I was like, okay, I can find this lens. I found this lens at a Best Buy, like way across town.
Yeah.
The discount on Canon lenses were not very good as an employee.
Seriously.
So I was like, all right, that's fine. I was like, I'm going to go pick up this lens. So I went and grabbed the lens. And dude, at the time, I had a 50 millimeter 1.8, and I was taking portraits with that lens, and I thought the portraits were looking great. I mean,
they are great.
They are great, right?
That 51.8 was crazy.
Dude, tell me why I put the 17 on there and started taking photos, and I was like, what did I buy? Now, also, I'm shooting on a T2i. So I bought this full frame lens, this super expensive red ring lens on this camera. And I'm like, why won't this number drop below 4? When I put this lens on here, it goes all the way down to 1.8. And that makes everything look better. Dude, you talk about a lens sitting in the bag. I left this lens in the bag constantly because I was like, I don't know why this sucks so bad.
Dude, I'm sure they made it for someone.
I don't know who.
They made it for someone. I don't know who they made it for, but glory. Not everything. I rock with you. Not everything you make is good.
Dude, I was so hot. And then what was crazy was, so at this time I met my friend Sticks, and he had the 16 to 35 2.8.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, dude, I got this shoot coming up. It was like a fashion thing. I was just basically running around on a gimbal. And I was like, can I borrow your 16 to 35? I just want to test it out, use it on this shoot. And he was like, yeah, but here, throw this on the front. And he put like an ND filter on there. And I was like, ooh, what the hell is that? He was like, trust me, if you're shooting outside, just put this on the front, and then you can set it to 2.8 and you can use it. And I went out and I shot with this 16 to 35 with a 2.8, and it had an ND filter on it. And bro, I thought I was Scorsese. I saw the footage out of this thing and I was like, oh my gosh.
Especially on a gimbal, bro.
On a gimbal?
Especially on a gimbal.
2.8, shooting a person, and then I was switching from 16 to 35, so I was getting different framing. I was like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. This is amazing.
Did you use a glide cam ever?
Dude, you talk about some buying regrets. I never got the glide cam balance.
Never.
I bought 2 of those suckers. Never got one balance.
It was good for like the first 2 seconds, and
Dude,
then
it
it
was
starts
good
turning.
until I let my finger. Dude, I watched Devin Supertramp and did all that stuff. I bought cheap ones, and I was
Dude.
like, maybe it's because it's cheap, right? No. It
No.
was because I just never learned how to balance it properly.
You have to be a
A special individual.
specialist.
Dude, it was so. But yeah, no, I learned when I shot with that 16-35 2.8. I learned like how big of a regret my 17-55 purchase was, and I learned the difference between 2.8 and f4. Like these are the things that like growing up in an era where you didn't have YouTube to like explain this stuff to you.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know what I didn't know. So I'm just like buying lenses based off of what I see other people doing. I don't know why it's working for them.
Yeah.
And I'm just learning all these things the hard way. And so, yeah, dude, I learned very quickly just like what the difference between F4 and 2.8 was. So
100%. So we want to know in the chat,
yes.
what are some regrets?
And it's okay. Let's be fair. I know a lot of times like it's a little revealing to say I was naive.
Yeah.
I didn't know. It's okay if you didn't know, and that's why it's a regret. I will say it wasn't that it was I'm going to say it was a bad lens, but it may not have been a bad lens for some. It was a bad lens for me because I didn't know why I was buying. I knew why, because it was a pro lens.
Yeah.
Had that red ring. But if you didn't know or you just made that mistake, I'd love to know, like, what mistakes did you guys make? Because after that situation, that's why, like, when it comes to lenses, I'm so big about educating people on lenses.
Yes.
Because that was the light bulb for me. That was like when I shot with the 16-35 2.8, I was like, oh, I don't suck. I just don't know how to use the gear that I currently have.
Yeah.
And if I know what I'm doing, I can actually get what I want out of this. So, yeah, that was it for me.
Thankfully, I had a person that when I had some money to spend,
Yeah.
he was like, 3 lenses. This is what you need. And I still rock with those 3 lenses to this day.
Really?
Yes.
What were the 3 lenses?
The 70-200, 2.8,
Yes.
which is probably my most used lens. He also was a big prime person. So he was like 50 and the 35 1.4. And so I was like, I got a little extra money. I'm going to buy the 16-35. And that turned out to not be.
It was not one
That
of the
was
3
not
he
the
told
deal.
you to go
But
with.
to be fair, had I kept it, I wouldn't have to rebuy it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think for me, speaking of the 70-200, that was another one of those lenses where I was like, oh, this is how you get really good photos.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and I remember the first time I rented that lens
It's
and
a
shot
cheat
with
code.
it.
Cheat code.
It is. I realized I was like, oh, this equipment is also what helps you take better photos.
Yeah.
Because it changed the game.
Yeah. The focal range and the compression, no need for the 1.8. You are going to get crazy.
That bokeh's going to be
crazy
fire.
bokeh.
Yeah. And the clients love it.
Yes.
They absolutely love that blurry bokeh background. So
Yes.
yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely wish I would have been more educated. I think that's my buying regret, was not being educated before I just started buying stuff. I was just looking at professionals like, ooh, that looks shiny.
Yeah.
Ooh, you have a red ring.
Yeah.
I need a lens with a red ring. Clients will take me seriously if I have a red ring. That wasn't the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was not the case at all. Okay, so we talked about our gear past purchases.
Yeah.
But currently, what is something that you are aspiring for? Like something that you don't have yet. Maybe it's like a piece of gear that you really, really want, but you just can't bring yourself to pull the trigger on. And Chad, I want to know from you too, like what is a piece of gear right now that you are currently like, maybe it's been sitting in the cart and you're just like
too many things.
and you're like, I just can't pull the trigger on it.
Now, little context. Are you saying like maybe like a big thing?
Let's do both.
Okay, let's do both.
Let's do
Okay.
both.
All right. Ooh, so this is hard. Like, I know a Komodo X would be incredible. Would be incredible. I don't think that the C400 is going to be like oh my gosh, like just trashing on the Komodo X. But I do want to see the footage from it. But if you had to ask me right now, man, you had 10 grand to burn, Komodo X. And then long term, like maybe like a big goal.
Wait, your Komodo X is not your big goal?
No, that I'm hoping that's like my next goal.
Oh, okay.
I'm hoping that's my next goal. But if you're
Gotcha.
talking like a big one, like honestly, Free Fly makes drones.
Oh.
That holds cameras like Reds.
Yeah.
And oh my, like, yeah, that or like the Inspire, is it 3 now?
Yeah.
Like that's not the, like, I don't aspire, it is $18,000. So it is an expensive drone.
Yeah.
But like, if honestly, like I don't even like aspire to be a drone pilot. Like, oh, that's my full-time drone pilot. But I will tell you, bro, let me get that 8 or I think it's like six blade deal. Let me throw my red up there and fly the New York skyline. Give
Really?
me some. That would be so like, oh, so good. And obviously, like I'd be fine throwing like any other camera on there, but like having like a like, oh my gosh, that would be so much fun.
That's so funny. I told you I got my drone license like early in my career.
Yeah.
And I remember I went down a rabbit hole where I almost shifted my entire business to only be drones. I was going to do the same thing. I was going to get a 6-blade drone, something that could carry a camera. This is before FPV. So now today I'd probably throw FPV in there.
Yeah.
But I was like, our cheap package is going to be the Inspire.
Yeah.
And I was like, and we only get hired out to just do drone work.
Yeah.
And like that was going to be it. Until I found out there was literally a company in Houston called DroneWorks.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they did. And they own the entire market. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay. Well, it's a very expensive market to get into.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, I think I'm going to just stay on the ground.
Yeah.
No, I think those are both really good. I think
Yeah.
my desire purchase
Yeah.
is a little bit cheaper than a Komodo. And I've wanted it for a long time. I don't know why I just can't bring myself to pull the trigger on it, but it is a cart. As simple as that is, I want a cart so bad. And I've been
Which one are you looking at?
So obviously, I'm looking at the innovative cart, but I don't want to spend the innovative money.
Bro, I gotta tell you 1,000%. Spending $3,000 minimum on a cart, it just does something in your soul.
It's like buying expensive hard drives. It's not like but I know that they have like one of the best carts on the market. I've seen cheaper carts get broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out Porter. But like it's so, for me, like having a cart, it doesn't do anything for the client. It doesn't do anything for the production. It doesn't change my image quality. It doesn't add to my workflow. It just is a like quality of life upgrade.
Yeah.
That will just help for the days that I'm on set.
Would it be helpful if you had a van?
So that's another big piece of it. And actually, I'm gonna kind of throw that one in there too, because I know the innovative carts can be broken down and built up when you get on set and stuff like that. But the idea of just having everything built here in the office, I wheel it into my van, and then when I get there, I wheel it out, and it's all ready to go.
Yeah.
That to me is a dream setup.
Yeah.
So like, I absolutely would love to have an innovative cart. But
I'm stealing your answer. I'm turning in my drone.
yeah.
Because we've talked about vans for a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. Now that I'm actually thinking about practical, like what I'm already doing right now.
Yeah.
Van
for sure. No, yeah, I think a van and an innovative cart be a fantastic. Now, I got a bonus one here.
Mm-hmm.
This is something I will never buy unless, like, if I have enough money to buy these items, I'm probably, like, I don't need them anymore. Like, I don't need to make movies anymore. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm on a beach somewhere for the rest of my life. But I have always been drawn to the Leica Litz lenses. Not because of anything. I don't know why I'm drawn to them.
Yeah.
Every time I see, like, I know Fincher uses them a lot, and I know that I've seen, like, some stuff from Jason Momoa used on them, and then I've seen people review, like, one lens, because, like, each lens is, like, double-digit $1,000. So, like, they're like, each lens probably costs more than my car.
Yeah.
Like, per lens,
Yeah.
right? So, like, you have a whole set, you're walking around with, like, half of, like, you know, the New York Strip, or, like, you know, like you have so much money on you at any moment where you're carrying more than one or two of these lenses.
Yeah.
And so, like, for me, it's like, I don't know why I want these lenses. It might be back to, like, the Red Ring situation where I'm like,
For sure.
oh, my favorite DPs and my favorite people I've seen shooting, like, some of my favorite images were captured with these lenses. So I want to have them.
Yeah.
I have no logical reason for wanting them. I just, the image, other than, like, the image I've seen come out of them, just looks so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, I want these lenses. But lenses, I have a weak spot. I have a whole thing for Cook lenses too. Like, I just want Cook lenses. Again, don't know why. They just look beautiful.
No, I was looking up some prices on some Cook lenses, thinking, oh, let's see what they are, and I was like, dick.
You're like, oh, I'm not in that tax bracket.
Never mind.
Exactly, dude. Like, it's one of those things where I'm like, if I did own them, they would have to be rented out at all times.
Oh yeah.
They better be making money for me
Seriously.
quickly.
Oh my goodness. And of course, they have an incredible, beautiful look. But lenses are just like one part of the image.
Oh yeah.
It's the sensors, it's the lights,
Lighting,
it's
yes.
the oh my gosh, it's the performance in front of the and
What
so
you're capturing. That's a cheat code.
It's so hard.
That's a cheat code.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I somebody once asked me, like, how do you capture better images? I was like, you capture more interesting things.
Oh yeah.
Like, if you got to rock with the gear that you currently have, or like you're a beginner,
100%.
and you're like, how do I, like, improve my image? Like, how do I make better stuff? How do I make stuff people want to watch? Or how do I get better gigs? Or how do I get people attracted to my content? I was like, go capture more interesting things.
Yeah, here's a perfect example. When we were shooting the Komodo X video, we reached out to someone in the Houston Ballet.
Yeah.
And she was like, man, I'd love to do that. And, like, she was so incredibly talented, so gifted. So, I mean, she could be anywhere in any place doing whatever.
Right.
And it was going to look cool.
Yes.
And that was such an easy level up.
Yes.
Such an easy level
I mean, we could have shot my ugly mug, but it was like, nah, let's shoot somebody doing something actually interesting.
sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And what's funny about that whole set was, like, it was so simple.
Yeah.
It was like 2 lights,
Yeah.
a little bit of haze out of a can,
Yeah.
and just like a warehouse looking room. And we
Yeah.
were like, hey, go do your thing.
Yeah.
Capture it, and I think it looked beautiful. It's even on
For
Red's
sure.
website. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, so speaking to beginners, obviously, you know, one piece of advice we would give them is to, you know, capture better stuff. But when it comes to, like, gear, let's maybe do our top 5.
Okay.
So if somebody's just getting started in the world of videography and they're thinking about, you know, okay, what do I need, right? What are 5... Let's not get too specific. You don't have to say, like, this specific camera.
Yeah.
But what are, like, for you, what do you think are, like, the 5 go-to items a beginner should be thinking about adding to their kit in some fashion?
Yeah, for me, I'm going to tell you based off of just my experiences that I can recommend. The first thing I want to say is used.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you used because there is pieces of gear, if people take care of them, I got my 5D Mark III is still working to this day. Now, I wouldn't suggest you get that camera, but I'm just saying, like, certain pieces of gear are just perfect used because it will literally last you forever. And so Use.
Well, not only that, but the money savings.
Oh yeah.
You trying to stretch your dollar?
Yeah. You're thinking that if I buy it new, somehow it's going to last me longer or it's going to be better. And the reality is if you, especially if you buy it from another filmmaker that takes care of their stuff, oh my gosh, like they probably babied it and it's going to last you for years. And so first thing I would say, you got to start with a computer. And I would start with just personally, storage isn't the most important thing to me because being a filmmaker, you're going to have some sort of storage solution.
Right.
You're going to run out of your space. Now, don't get the smallest storage because like you want to at least be able to fit a project. I know that some people think differently about that. Like especially if you're shooting on Red or you're shooting on something bigger, like you want to be able to have multiple. Yeah. But like to me, a low hard drive space and then just buy external storage because you're going to have to do it anyways. And then try to get as much RAM as you can afford. At least 16. At least 16. But used, obviously, I'm going to recommend Apple. Yeah, sort of deal.
You know, I think even now more than ever, especially because of how powerful the M series chips are.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm still rocking the M1 Pro. And like I felt no need to upgrade from an editing standpoint.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So yeah, Apple.
Yeah, they're coming out with the M4 probably, in their new computers. Obviously, love you, Apple. Don't need it.
Yeah.
Don't need it. Like I'm on the M2 and it's the fastest thing I've ever used in my life.
Yeah. And it handles all the footage great.
Yeah. Handles everything great.
So used computer.
Yes.
That's one. What's
Apple.
another one?
Apple. I'm going to save the camera for last, but I'm going to tell you probably need to pick up some sort of Amaran and or Nanlux Light. Nanlite. Oh, yeah. Lux is that pro. That Nanlite or Amaran brand lighting. I tell you, I fought so deeply in my soul when I first started off. I'm a natural light. I'm a natural light shooter. And it is intelligent to learn how to be able to shoot in natural light.
Yeah.
But you do not understand how your life will change when you get yourself a little light.
Just what's crazy is like just one light through a softbox.
One little light.
Dude, changes everything.
It will change your life. So stop fighting it. Back in the day, to get a little light was $1,000. What felt if you weren't going to get the panels?
Yeah.
Like
now $250.
Yeah, $250. You got a light. Get yourself you have to.
Yeah. All right. So computer light
and still used microphone.
What kind of microphone though? Because that's on my list.
Yes.
But I want to hear like what type of microphone you think.
Yeah. So if we're talking like lowest part of the budget, buy a if we're talking like low, like Amazon low, buy a little lapel that like will plug into your camera and then talk into your microphone. We're talking like $30, do that. It will be infinitely better than your built-in microphone.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little bit deceiving, especially if you're going to do interviews, to buy the little shotguns that go on your camera, but that are 10 feet away from your subject.
Right.
So I'm not saying that shotgun microphones on your camera are bad, but like, do not be deceived.
Yes.
To buy the little shotgun on your camera and think that you're going to get crisp audio. But if you can afford it, if you can get maybe even the DJI 1, not the 2.
The mic 1.
Or any of the Rode variant options.
Yeah.
The Goes. Like obviously you're probably going to spend somewhere closer to $200 in that, but
I think they have the Me, which is just like $100.
Oh, bet. Yeah. So if you have some distance between you and your person, microphone. You are not going to be you might be able to, but you probably shouldn't. If you don't have a microphone, you probably shouldn't be charging people for your videos. Is that a safe statement?
If somebody's speaking in it.
Yes, if somebody's speaking in it.
If somebody's speaking in it, yes. Now, granted,
you should still be freemium if you don't have a microphone.
Yes. The thing I'll say is that like today you don't need as much because like the AI audio processing has gotten so good.
Yes.
But I think I'm with you because that's on my list too. A lavalier microphone, and I was thinking a wireless one too because of the same exact
for sure
you were saying.
So use computer, use light, maybe new wireless lapel sort of deal.
Yeah.
My fourth one would be obviously, you got to drop the kit lens. Buy body only. When you buy your camera,
Yes.
used, just get the body.
Yeah.
If you buy it new, you buy it used, get body only. The kit lens are
Trash.
universally trash on everybody's deal.
They're awful.
You're not getting anything. Because when you go to body only and it only drops it down the price $50, you're like, yeah. Okay.
That's because that lens is only worth $50.
So buy a proper lens. Now, I will say if you're buying a crop APS-C camera, 50 is great. If you have a full frame, 50 is great. Like, obviously, you'll be a little bit tight. It depends what you're shooting.
Right.
It depends what you're shooting. But you can buy a $100 lens, 50, or you can even cheaper if you buy used, if we're being honest. But being able to have that prime lens, it's going to help you in low light. It's going to be able to help you in, ultimately, in having that bokeh, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then my last piece is going to be buying you a used, capable of 4K camera.
Yeah. 4K. You think that's a bare minimum?
You can buy a 1080p camera. Absolutely. You can charge people. You can do a great deal. I just feel like if you go to 1080p, you will be very quickly wanting to upgrade within the next year or two, which feels like a double spend of money, where if you can get something used that already shoots 4K, you will be content for much longer.
Gotcha.
So that's my 5.
Okay. Well, I think we're kind of on the same page. I'm going to flip it the other way, though. I'm going to start with the camera.
Great.
I think that you should definitely go used as well. I think you should be looking at local camera shops, Facebook Marketplace.
That's good.
Even eBay. And just like Jarrell was saying, go body only on the camera for sure. The next thing when it comes to like the lens, you have to absolutely figure out what you're going to be filming first, and then go with the lens that's going to be best for you. And when it comes to lenses, I not only say go use, but I say go third party. So like if you're a Sony shooter or you pick up a Sony camera, you've got Tamron, you've got Sigma. If you shoot Nikon, you get Sigma, you get Viltrox. And then even on the Canon DSLRs, I think you can get Viltrox, Sigma as well. Tamron. Limited on Canon RF.
Not on that.
Not on that Canon RF. Don't go Canon RF probably if you're just getting started. Not gonna be a lot of used options, and definitely not a lot of lens options.
Yeah.
But I think that's definitely the way to go. Definitely look third party, because a lot of those third party lenses are fantastic.
Seriously.
Tamron lenses.
Don't let anybody
Sigma
make you feel those Sigma art. Which they're expensive, more expensive, but like Sigma are.
Dude, take it from a guy who
fire.
spent way too much money on lenses he didn't understand. Go with a Sigma lens.
I still
especially
have
if you're
my
just getting started.
Sigma 35 1.4.
Now, the next one for me, I think, is a must, and that is a really good tripod. Now, I think that a tripod can take you through an entire production. Locked off shots for interviews, pan tilts, and like having a really good video tripod with a video head. Like, I remember like investing in my Manfrotto tripod head. Like, it was the most expensive accessory that I had bought when I was first getting started, because I knew I needed that smooth pan and tilt. And if you get a cheap one, it's not going to be that smooth.
Yeah.
Now you can get really decent ones for fairly affordable. Like, I know Small Rig makes a few that are like $100, and they actually have a video head with like a full ball head too, so you can always make sure you're level. So I think getting a really solid video tripod and not skimping out on that is absolutely crucial.
I have a confession.
What's that?
Bro, I've been lacking.
Yeah.
I've been lacking on that one.
Yeah, you still got cheap tripods?
No, not cheap. Cheap in price.
I mean, as long as it's good and it does the job.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not really caring about the prices much.
For sure.
But it's like, just don't buy like if you're shooting video, don't just go buy like a cheap pair of sticks from Best Buy that technically will hold your camera.
Those Walmart tripods, bro.
Those what are they, sun something tripods. I remember those, and I bought one too. So
glory. Learning
from my mistakes. All right, so I've got camera, lens, tripod. The next one for me is a computer.
Yes.
I definitely am 100% in alignment with you. getting a MacBook computer in today's age is kind of the easiest, best way to go. You can download DaVinci Resolve on that for free, and it'll absolutely kind of do what you need it to do. Investing in more RAM, I agree with that. Get something that has more RAM in it. And you can get like a really solid computer right now for very inexpensive, especially compared to like what it was. Like,
especially like on Facebook. Be careful of the scams, but especially on Facebook Marketplace.
oh yeah.
Gosh,
Yes.
there's so many people that bought that they either just buy computers because I don't know, Christmas.
But here's the thing. I'm going to push back against that a little bit because I was on, so you go to Facebook Marketplace, most people are selling the computers that they own. And most people just buy like the bare minimum computers.
Yes.
Right? But if you go on eBay, you can actually get something that has like a lot of RAM and get those custom built computers. And you can get them fairly cheap because
That's
there's
cool.
just not a lot of people trying to get it. Like for example, I have another M1 MacBook Pro, and I was thinking about selling it. And so I looked at it online. So my M1 MacBook Pro has 2 terabytes of storage, 32 gigs of RAM. It's an M1, and I was looking at putting that sucker up on eBay. Most it was going for was like $1,000, $1,500, and I was just like, this computer cost me like over $3,000.
Until the day I die,
So
son, you will be using this computer.
so yeah, so now I'm like, all right, I guess somebody in the house gonna have to use it, But that's what they're going for. So you can get this crazy powerful computer, and like my actual computer is they're clones of each other.
Yeah.
I bought 2 of them, and so like I just don't need 2 now.
Yeah.
And so like I was like, oh, maybe I'll sell this one. Nope.
Yeah.
I'm not selling it now because they're going for so cheap, and that's something that like someone could actually absolutely benefit from is buying it used, and especially with Apple.
Thank you for that tip because literally, I feel like when I've looked at the used market, I haven't looked at eBay,
Yeah.
and that's actually kind of mind blowing that you could get an M1 almost fully maxed out
Yeah.
for 15. Like, gosh,
Exactly, bro.
that's wild.
Well, if you're in the market, we can talk. So computer is definitely number 4 for me.
Yeah.
And then I think the 5th one for me, as far as like gear that I think a beginner should definitely look at investing in, this is gonna sound a little cheesy. Education. So here's the thing. Obviously, let's just put the bias out there. We obviously have the Creative Film Academy where we have our courses. We offer education, which I think is important. But I'm not saying education for that reason. I'm like, obviously we do this show in real time, right? Yeah. And so as I'm going through, I'm like, man, a lot of my regrets, a lot of my horror stories, a lot of my problems come from just a lack of knowledge. And when I was coming up, the only education you could get was college, which was like super, super expensive, and was out of the like realm of possibilities for me. So I quickly think that like in today's time period, between like we have my Brandon Washington YouTube channel where I post tons of free education. Get educated there. Instead of spending money, spend time on YouTube and just learn as much as you possibly can. But if you are interested in going further with your education, we do have the Creative Film Academy where we do have free courses too. And so I'll link a few of those down below for some more like in-depth educated stuff. But I absolutely think that like spend your time, spend your money practicing. When it comes to like investing in yourself, like invest in like going out and shooting or helping somebody on a set for free and learn from them. But like when it comes to like things that you should acquire as a beginner, I know this is kind of like a cop out as a 5th thing, but realistically, the education piece changes the game. And sometimes it's education on other pieces of gear that you can't gain access to.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna actually add a 6th one because since I'm already cheating, I might as well cheat some more. The 6th one is rent. Like if you are a beginner, rent better gear. Like we talked about it. Like I borrowed a 16 to 35 2.8 from a friend, unlocked my brain as far as like what was possible from my camera. I thought I needed a better camera. It turned out that lens made a big difference. Same thing with the 70 to 200. I thought that my 50 1.8 was like exactly what I needed, but I was like, man, I'm just not quite getting the look that I see these other photographers get. And then I rented a 70-200 and I was like, oh, this is what it is. And then, I did a few jobs, and every time I would do a job, I'd rent that lens, go and shoot with it, rent that lens, go and shoot with it. Literally until I got to a place where I went to Humble Camera, which is where I would rent that lens from the most.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, we got to use one for sale, because I have been renting it so often.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, how much? And he was like, well, it goes for this much, but I think he gave me like a little bit of a deal on it. I was like, all right, if it's still here by Monday, I might come in and pick it up. And then later on, I did go and pick it up. I don't think it was that Monday, but later on, I picked it up, and I picked it up used.
Yeah.
So, like, absolutely, like, I think renting. So, since I'm cheating, I'm going to say 5 is education, 6 is renting, and I know I'm cheating. I don't care.
It really isn't cheating, though, because here's the crazy part, right? We have all been guilty of going out, buying something that we thought was going to change the game, and then getting in a situation and be like, what's going on? Why does my stuff not look like his stuff or her stuff? And here's the crazy piece. This is something, if you know, you could buy a T1, a T1.2 or an F1.2, but if you put your subject against the background, or if you put your subject super far from you, it does not matter how low that f-stop is.
Correct.
And you wouldn't know that without literally education or without experience and literally going out and shooting it. And so part of that is you don't have to let your experiences be expensive.
Yes.
You can let it be relatively cheap by purchasing a good course, teaching you the fundamental and basics. 100%. I 1,000% agree. I only am where I am because of the people that poured into me, the classes that I took to be able to know.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, beginners, the most detrimental thing to a beginner is that you don't know what you don't know. And there's a cost of ignorance to figure out what that is. And what's crazy is even after you figure out what you don't know, you still got to pay that cost to figure out what it is.
Yeah.
To learn it.
Yeah.
So absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think anybody who's new, who's getting started, I think those are all tips that they'll absolutely run with.
Yeah. I think the hardest thing that they're going to have to wrap their mind around, because it was hard for me. There was so much fear in used. What if they dropped it? What if it is? What if it's that? Honestly, like, if you can get over that. Now, some of you guys, if it gives you the peace of mind of warranty, and honestly, to be 100%, warranty only happens if a manufacturer defect happens. If you drop that lens, they're not fixing it for you.
Yeah.
Or whatever that thing is. And so new only gets you so far. If it gives you the peace of mind to have the warranty, buy new, but go used.
Well, so I worked at Best Buy, right?
Uh-huh.
Do I have a second to tell you a funny story? Because, oh man, you talk about running a game. So, speaking of warranty, I don't know if this still works anymore, but this is hilarious.
Yeah.
So, my first camera was a T2i.
Uh-huh.
And at Best Buy, you could get a warranty on your camera, but it covered drops.
Oh, yeah.
So,
not manufacturer, but
no, through Best Buy.
Best Buy. Okay,
yeah, they're Geek Squad, whatever. And so I learned that cameras beyond a certain point cannot be fixed, or it's not worth fixing. And so the way that Best Buy would honor their warranty is they would just give you back the funds that you spent on the camera onto a gift card, and then you would then use that gift card to buy the same camera. But they never forced you to buy the exact same camera. Dude, I went from a T2i. It broke. Upgraded to a T3i. And then when I was like, I want that 60D, I remember I brought my T3i in, and I was like, yeah, it's not really working. Something's off with it. I worked there. And the guy was like, well, everything seems to be fine. We'll let the Geek Squad take a look at it. They took a look at it. I was like, yeah, it's broken. And the guy was like, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm like, but it's not working right. And they're like, I know, but there's nothing wrong with it. Something's got to be wrong with it. Whew. You talk about a hard day. I took my T3i back home, and I made sure when it came back,
You put it in the microwave?
it was not working. For whatever reason, that mirror
Yeah.
stopped flipping.
Got that unlimited upgrade path.
And then after that, I think after that, I was like, I can't do this anymore. That one hurt my heart. And that's how I got up to a 60D. But no, dude. But yeah, so if you get a warranty, make sure it's a good one.
Yes.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
That all state.
That Allstate. Are you in good hands? Is that Allstate? Oh, man. All right. Well, dude, I think this was a fantastic episode. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us today. Hopefully you guys got a chance to go back in time with us a little bit.
Yes.
Go back in time, look at some of the history of some of the gear that we regret or gear that we learned a lot from.
Or we hope to buy one day.
Or we hope to buy one day. And maybe if you really enjoyed this, you could super chat us to help us get to that gear. I'm just kidding. No,
Replace the LED wall with a production van.
oh my God.
That's
Look,
a throwback.
dude.
We haven't talked about the wall in a long time.
We haven't. That's because I actually
Cam Mackey, where you at?
I priced the LED walls,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, we're so far away." Like that wasn't even on my list of something that I want because we're so far away.
We'll do one square at a time.
Yeah.
One panel at a time.
I'm gonna replace this wood panel wall with an LED screen, one 12-inch by 12-inch panel at a time. Any last words for the people?
Peace.
All right. Thank you guys so much for checking out this episode. Again, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, smash the like button on your way out of here, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.